Hey, Kerry.
Well, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. It is an odd year for those of us interested in Paul Celan. Obviously, the November will be the centenary of his birth, but obviously today it marks the 50th anniversary of his untimely death. I sort of feel that sort of juxtaposition of reasons for celebration, reasons for mourning, might seem sort of appropriate for a poet who wants counsel to keep yes and no unsplit. So I think the fact that this reading occurred to me only a few weeks ago as a possibility, and I think it's just sort of it's a demonstration of Celan's ongoing influence and effect that so many have sort of stepped forward to take part today. Some at the very last minute today. So thank you all for being here. Thinking and thanking are close in English, as they are also in German. So yes, I think the opportunity to both think and thank Paul Celan is timely. So in the interest of sort of keeping things sort of timely and to sort of focus on Celan, we're going to dispense with the formal introductions that our readers deserve. If any of the readers' names are new to you today, I would certainly urge you to investigate them later in your own time. I think it's, we have some of the sort of foremost contemporary practitioners of poetry and performance, translation and editorship on the meeting today. So again, I think just an index to Celan's influence. So so the plan is that we're going to do it sort of relay style. Each reader is going to read the selection from Celan that they've chosen. Hopefully you can all, those of you reading, have seen the latest running order. If you could just mention the name of the next person in the chain when you come to the end of your bit, that would be great. I think if we're not currently reading, if we can keep our mics on mute, that should keep the audio clear. It sounds pretty clear anyway, but for the sake of the recording, I think that'd be good. The chat feature will be on throughout though, so if you do want to make a comment in real time, do take the chance to do that. And then I'll sort of, at the end, I'll sort of unmute everybody and we can say some last words if we want to. So, I originally added, because it was a last-minute addition, I originally added Valery to the end of the list, but it sounds like he has to leave early. So I'm going to introduce him first. He's going to read one poem in Prague, both in English and Romanian, and then he will be passing things on to Charles Alexander. So Valery, if you wouldn't mind taking it away for us.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to read from Mon und Gedachtings. It's copyrighted in 1952 in Stuttgart. And it's a poem called In Prague. And although Celan never been to Prague, he was connected very much to Franz Kafka and correspondent with a poet in Prague called Franz Wurz. And this is a very special poem. I'm going to read it first in Romanian because I have a Romanian ancestry and I'm exactly from the same city where he was born, Cernovets. And we went to the same school actually till the age of 12 when I emigrated from there. So it's called In Praga. Jumătatea morții, suptă odată cu laptele vieții noastre, zăcea în jurul nostru adevărată ca un chip de cenușă. O beam și noi, o beam mereu cu sufletele încrucișate, două spade cusute de piatra cerului, născute din sângele cuvintelor, în patul nocturn, tot mai mari și mai mari, creșteam împletiți, nu mai era niciun nume pentru ceea ce ne mânase umbra mea vie a 30 și câta, urcă treptele nebuniei spre tine, un turn își zidise în încotro jumătatea, un palat, hrațănii, din nuul alchimiștilor, ebraica oaselor, măcinate în spermă, curgea prin clepsidră, în care notam 2 vise acum, răsunând prin piețe împotriva timpului. And this poem was translated by Petre Solomon, also a very well-known name. And now in English, in Prague, the half-death, long suckled with our lives, lies around us, ash image through we too drunk steel, souls interlace, to sword sewn to the heaven stones, world, blood, born, larger and larger at night bed. We grew through each other. There was no name for what drove us. One of 30 and so many more was my living shadow of the madness that would rise up and come to you. A tower half built in Kuda, in Hratsani, of a pure alchemist's snow, Hebrew bone, ground to sperm, runs through the hourglass. We swam, 2 dreams now, chiming against the time in the square. Thank you very much. I'm Valery Oisteanu.
Thank you, Valery.
And next, I think, is Charles.
Yes.
Alexander.
Yes, it's me, and I am reading from Affenzeit, or in English, Breathturn, first published in German in 1967. The edition I'm reading from, translated by Pierre Joris, is published in 2006 by Green Integer Books. And I'm reading the latter sections of the first part of Breathturn. Thread suns, above the gray-black wastes, a tree-high thought grasps the light tone. There are still songs to sing beyond mankind. In the serpent coach, past the white cypress, through the flood, they drove you. But in you, from birth, foamed the other spring. Up the black ray memory, you climbed to the day. Slicken sides, fold axes, rechanneling points, your terrain. On both poles of the cleft rose, legible, your outlawed word, north true, south bright. Word accretion, volcanic, drowned out by sea roar. Above the flooding mob of the contra creatures, it flew a flag, portrait and replica, cruise vainly timeward. Till you hurl forth the word moon, out of which the wonder ebb occurs, and the heart-shaped crater testifies naked for the beginnings, the king's births. I know you. You are the deeply bowed. I, the transpierced, am subject to you. Where flames a word would testify for us both. You, all real. I, all delusion. Eroded by the beam wind of your speech, the gaudy chatter of the pseudo-experienced, my 100-tongued perjury poem, the Noem. Hollow whirled, free, the path through the men-shaped snow, the penitent's snow, to the hospitable glacier parlors and tables. Deep in the time crevasse, In the honeycomb ice waits a breath crystal, your unalterable testimony. Thank you. I don't have the list in front of me, but I believe if we're going alphabetically, I'm passing it on to Caroline Bergvall.
That's right, Charles. Hi, everybody. Very moving to hear this tonight. I thought I would read some sections from that most mysterious of speeches, the Meridian. Ladies and gentlemen, it is common today to reproach poetry for its obscurity. Oh, I should perhaps say that this is the version translated by Pierre Joris. At this point, permit me to quote somewhat abruptly, but hasn't something opened here suddenly? Permit me to quote a line by Pascal, a line that I read some time ago in Léo Chestov. Ne nous reprochez pas le manque de clarté, puisque nous en faisons profession. This is, I believe, if not the congenital darkness, then, however, the darkness attributed to poetry for the sake of an encounter from a perhaps self-created distance or strangeness. And perhaps there are two strangenesses close together and in one and the same direction. Poetry, that can mean an Atemwende, a breath turn. Who knows? Perhaps poetry travels this route, also the route of art, for the sake of such a breath turn. Perhaps it will succeed as the strange, I mean the abyss and the Medusa's head, the abyss and the automatons seem to lie in one direction. Perhaps it will succeed here to differentiate between strange and strange. Perhaps it's exactly here that the Medusa's head shrinks. Perhaps it's exactly here that the automatons break down for this single short moment. Perhaps here, with the eye, with the estranged eye set free here, and in this manner, perhaps here, a further other is set free. But I do think, and this thought can hardly surprise you by now, I think that it's always been part of the poem's hopes to speak on behalf of exactly this strange. No, I can't use this word this way, exactly on another's behalf. Who knows, perhaps on behalf of a totally other. This who knows, to which I see that I have now arrived, is all I can add here today to the old hopes. Perhaps I have to tell myself now, perhaps an encounter of this totally other kind with a not all too distant, with a very close other is, I'm using here familiar auxiliary verb, is thinkable, thinkable again and again. The poem tarries and tests the wind, a word related to the creaturely through such thoughts. Nobody can tell how long the breath pulls, the testing and the thoughts will last. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your presence. I pass it on now to Ian Fairley.
Thank you very much, Caroline. That was a lovely reading. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Rob, for the invitation to take part. I'll read 4 poems, early pieces by Celan, and I'll attempt the German as well as the English. The first is the earliest poem that it's possible to date with certainty to Mother's Day 1938. Kein ankerloses Tasten stört die Hand, und nachts verstreutes Heimweh trägt die Not gefalteter Gebete zitternd hin vors Rot im Bangen deiner Züge, dunkler gespannt. Die zagen Atemzüge halten in den Abhang ihres Rankens dein Gesicht, und den Bestürzten hält es leise, lichtgestrennte Sorgfalt vor die Träume hin. Doch diese ragen aus dem hellen Ruhen, und oft schlägt Purpur ein Gewand um sie, und Fahrt und Fairness uferlosem Ton. Die so entfliehende Last erreichst du nie, wo Dickicht ist und Schwärmen stahl und bunt. Denn du bist Ruhe, Mutter, Schimmer aus dem Grund. This hand bestirs no anchorless touch, and in the strain more darkly drawn across your lids, the plight of folded prayer bears night-strewn homesickness, trembling to dawn's blush. Your face is held in the tendrilled swag of these timorous breaths, and for breath in disarray, this face is tendered up to dreams, its softly light-tinged care. Yet dreams ascend from glowing rest, wrapped oftentimes in purpled cloak of voyage and of peril, shoreless jest. You never will join those who flee repose to the dappled rapture of that thick, steep grove. For you are peace, mother, shimmer from the deep. That in the next couple of poems appear in the notebook that Celan wrote or transcribed for Ruth Kraft in 1943-44. Helgelb der Fernen. An Blättern rätselt der Abend mit schludrendem Finger, löst in den Bildern der Gärten das späte Gestirn deiner Nacht. Trau ihm nicht, meide ihn. Über das Tor schwärmen die Dohlen den lautloses Büschen zu. Hellgelb der Fernen. Welchem Zwielicht weicht unsere Stunde aus? Dieselben Wunder wenden sich fort nun und tasten blau die schillernde Trunkenheit ab. Aus niemandes Becher trank ich das Gift. Doch ihr von dem Schlaftrunk der Riesen raub ich den schimmernden Käfern das Augenlicht. Yellow blonde of distances, evening riddles it leaves with a slumbering finger, spells out in emblematic gardens your night's late stars. Mistrust it, abhor it. Over the gate, jackdaws mob the soundless boughs. Yellow blonde of distances, our evades which twilight. The old miracles turn away and tap out chromatic drunkenness blue. I drank gall from nobody's cup, but mad with giants' sleeping draught, I steal eyesight from shimmering beetles. This one is Im Regen, in the rain. Du mit der bröckelnden Stimme der Nacht, hämmerndes Herz in der Mulde. Sagt dein erschrockener Tanzschritt nicht sacht, dass ich ein Sterben verschulde? Weil ich die Hafenspiel kam und mich lang im Mondfeld mit Dunkel umgab, weil ich es rührte mit silbernen Stab, bluten ließ und versank, bis mich die ruhmlose Erde beriet nun täuscht mich nicht mehr ihr Geruch. Die Spur bin ich bald, die sich stumm übersieht. Murmle nur den Spruch. In the rain. You heart with the particle voice of night hammering in the swale, does your terror-struck downstep not stammer that I owe a death? Because I came like minstrelsy and lingered with darkness in the poppy field, because I stirred it with a silver rod, bled white and sank until addressed by inglorious earth, its scent no longer deludes me. Soon I'm the spoor that it mutely overlooks. Just mumble the spell. And lastly, a poem that appears in both Der Sand aus den Urnen from 1948 and then in Mohn und Gedächtnis from 1952. The only light, das einzige Licht. Die Lampen des Schreckens sind hell, auch im Sturm. Am Kiel der laubigen Kähne nahen sie kühl deiner Stirn. Du wünschst, sie zerschellten an dir, denn sind sie nicht Glas? Du hörst auch schon triefen die Milch, dass du trinkst aus den Scherben den Saft, den im Schlaf du geschlürft aus den Spiegeln des Winters. Es war dir das Herz voller Flocken, es hing dir das Aug voller Eis. Die Locke quoll dir von Meerschaum, sie warfen mit Vögeln nach dir. Dein Haus ritt die finstere Welle, doch barg es ein Rosengeschlecht. Als Arche verließ es die Straße, so wardst du gerettet ins Unheil. O weiße Giebel des Todes, ihr Dorf wie Weihnacht, o Schlittenflug durch die Luft. Doch du kehrtest zurück, erklommst als ein Knabe den Baum, dort hältst du nun Ausschau. Es schwimmt jene Arche noch nach, doch füllen die Rosen sie ganz, doch eilen die Kähne heran mit den flackernden Lampen des Schreckens. Vielleicht, dass die Schläfe dir birst, dann springt ihre Mannschaft an Land, dann schlägt sie die Zelte hier auf, dann wölbt sich dein Schädel zu Himmel. Es quillt dir die Locke von Meerschaum, es hängt dir voll Flocken das Herz. The only light. Even in storm, the lamps of terror are bright. On the boughs of boats in leaf, they strike coolly for your brow. You wish them shatter on you, but are they not glass? Even now you hear milk drip, that you may drink from shards, sap you lapped in sleep from winter's mirrors. Your heart filled with flakes, ice hung from your eye. Your locks swelled with sea froth, they threw birds in your wake. Your house rode the dark wave, but harboured a stock of rose. As an ark, you took leave of the streets, and you found haven in ill-faring. O white gable of death, their village at Yuletide. O sleigh flight through the air, but then you returned, and as a child climbed a tree where you now hold watch. Each ark still swims close, though gorged with roses, though the boats scud nearer with their flickering lamps of terror. Perhaps that your temple shall burst, then its crew leap ashore, then here they'll pitch camp, then your skull vault into skies. Your locks are swollen with sea froth, your heart choked with flakes. Thank you. And it's my pleasure to introduce the next reader now, Alan Fisher. Over to you, Alan.
Thank you, Ian. I'm going to read 4 poems from Zeitgehalt, published in 1976, posthumously. I'm going to read the first poem twice, first in my own translation from the 70s, and then in a decent translation by Pierre Joris. And then that will be followed by 3 translations from his collected Breathturn into Timestead, which of course is the collected late poems. I'm going to give you 2 numbers. The one is from the Celan book, and the second is from Pierre Joris's translation. This is 51,447. Strangeness has us in a trap. The transitoriness grips us helplessly through and through. Counts my pulse as well as yours. Into you. Then arriving on both of us, against you, against me. Something clothes us one in day wear, in night wear, for play with the uppermost drop craving gravitas. And Pierre's translation. Strangeness has netted us, transience reaches perplexedly through us. Take my pulse, it too, into yourself. Then we shall prevail against you, against me. Something encloses us in day skin, in night skin, for the game with the highest epileptic seriousness. This is 52,449. Illuminated the seeds, which I in you, one swimming, rode free, the names they sail the straits, a blessing up front compacts into a weather sensing fist. (58,543). What bitters Aryan? The great loneliness dwarfing in the auditory cortex hymen. Blessedly, the thumbscrews whisper in sanguine rock torture height. The determining pauses are granted access. In the counting chamber, rebellious, the rings worship the rest. And lastly, 64,555. Krokus from the hospitable table scene, sign sensing, little exile of a shared truth. You need each stalk. I'll pass over to, I don't know if Norman Finkelstein's here yet. Is he? He was going to follow. So perhaps.
Yes, I'm here.
Huh?
I'm here.
Oh, great. Okay. Over to you, Norman.
Right.
Okay.
Nice to see you all. Rob, thank you for organizing this. I'm going to read 3 poems. One of them I think is probably Celan's longest, and then there'll be, but I'll start with a short one. Tenebrae. And this is the Feldsteiner translation. Near are we, Lord, near and graspable. Grasped already, Lord, clawed into each other as if each of our bodies were your body, Lord. Pray, Lord, pray to us. We are near. Wind-skewed, we went there to bend over pit and crater. Went to the water trough, Lord. It was blood, it was what you shed, Lord. It shined. It cast your image into our eyes, Lord. eyes and mouth stand so open and void, Lord. We have drunk, Lord, the blood and the image that was in the blood, Lord. Pray, Lord, we are near. This is the poem that is variously translated as the Straitening, or in the Feldsteiner translation, Stretto. Taken off into the terrain with the unmistakable trace, grass written asunder, the stones white with the grass blades' shadows. Read no more, look no more, go. Go, your hour has no sisters, you are at home. Slowly a wheel rolls out of itself, the spokes clamber on the blackened field. Night needs no stars, nowhere are you asked after. Nowhere are you asked after. The place where they lay, it has a name, it has none. They did not lie there. Something lay between them. They did not see through it. Did not see, no, spoke of words. Not one awoke. Sleep came over them. Came, nowhere asked. I'm the one, I lay between you. I was open, was audible. I ticked toward you, your breath obeyed. I am still the one, and you're sleeping. Am still the one. Years, a finger gropes down and up, gropes all around. Sutures palpable, here it gapes wide open, here it grew back together. Who covered it up? Covered it up, who? Came a word, came through the night, would glisten, ashes, night and night. Go to the eye, to the moist one. Go to the eye, to the moist one. Hurricanes from all time, particle flurry. The other thing, you know this, we read it in a book, was opinion. Was opinion. How did we take hold with these hands? It was also written that where we decked it in silence, poison hushed, huge, a green silence, a sepal, a thought of something plant-like hung there, green, yes, hung, yes, under spiteful skies. Of yes, plant-like. Yes, hurricanes, particle flurry. There was still time, still to try with the stone. It was welcoming, it did not interrupt. How good we had it. Grainy and stringy, stalky, thick, bunchy and radiant, knobby, level and lumpy, crumbling out branching. The stone, it did not interrupt. It spoke gladly to dry eyes before it shut them. Spoke, was. We would not let go, stood firm in the midst of framework of pores, and it came up to us, came on through, it mended, invisibly mended on the final membrane, and the world, thousand-faced crystal, shot out, then nights demixed, circles green or blue, red squares. The world sets its inmost at stake with the new hours. Circles, red or black, bright squares, no flight shadow, no plane table, no chimney soul rises and joins in. At owl's flight, near the petrified lepra, near our fugitive hands, at the latest rejection, above the bullet trap on the ruined wall, visible once again, the grooves, the choirs, back then the psalms, ho, ho, Zana. Therefore, temples still stand, a star may still give light. Nothing, nothing is lost. Hosanna. At owl's flight, hear the conversations, day gray of groundwater traces. Day gray of groundwater traces taken off into the terrain with the unmistakable trace. Grass, grass written asunder. And I'm going to finish with one of Pierre's translations. I know Peter Philpott is going to read this in a different translation a little bit. This is Tottenauberg. Arnica, eyebright, the draught from the well with the star die on top. In the Hütte, written in the book, whose name did it record before mine? In this book, the line about a hope today for a thinker's word to come in the heart. Forest sward, unleveled, orchis and orchis singly, raw exchanges later while driving clearly. He who drives us, the mensch, he also hears it. The half-trod log trails on the high moor. Humidity, much. And the next reader, I believe, is Ben Friedlander.
Thank you. Feels very good to be in this international company crossing borders on this occasion. Thanks, Rob, for inviting me, and Charles for facilitating. I'm going to read some translations of short poems from the 60s that I've done now and again, collected and uncollected poems, and I'll read them from earlier to later. Afternoon with Circus and Citadelle. Before the flaming hoops in Brest, in a tent where the tigers spring, there, finitude, I heard you sing. There I saw you, Mandelstam. Above the roadstead hung the sky. Seagulls hung above the cranes. The finite sang of what remains. You, gunship, called the baobab. I paid respect with Russian word to a tricolor fabric tossed, where lost is something never lost, and the heart is a place assured. With peace dove, so comes the werewolf too, a forest flown disrespecter amid the mirror straightened lies. Just go, follow him. He is not alone. With him goes the overturned hangman's word, snarlish, a bristle, with gold tooth, gold tusk, gold claw. Time of the monkey, and a living no, human-eyed amid all artfully knotted snares and verses. Bright from the pain color of hope, large as the trace that pointed yes to its path, untiring, unroustable. Stillness, ferrying bitch, take me through the rapids. Lashlight, shine on. In the city of Paris once had he the oath of sparrows sworn. No poison grain was left unpecked, nor lost was any thorn. In the city of Paris once had he chirped before each gate. What never opened now flies wide, beyond chirps his estate. 8 October 1967. And I think the next reader is Jesse Glass.
Hello, everybody. I'm just going to start reading these translations by Michael Hamburger. And first poem is called Assisi. Umbrian night, with the silver of church bell and aloe leaf. Umbrian night, with the stone that you carried here. Umbrian night with the stone. Dumb, that which rose into life, dumb. Refill the jugs, come. Earthenware jug, to which the potter's hand grew affixed. Earthenware jug, which the shade's hand closed forever. Earthenware jug with the shade's seal. Stone, wherever you look, stone. Let the gray animal in. Trotting animal in the snow, the nakedness hand scatters. Trotting animal before the word that clicks shut. Trotting animal that takes sleep from the feeding hand. Brightness that will not comfort, brightness you shed. Still they are begging, Francis, the dead. Okay, the next poem, Bloom, Flower. Once again, this is Michael Hamburger. Flower, the stone in the air, which I followed. Your eye as blind as the stone. We were hands. We bailed the darkness empty. We found the word that ascended summer. Flower. Flower, a blind man's word. Your eye and mine, they see to water. Growths, heart wall upon heart wall, adds petals to it. One more word like this, and the hammers will swing over open ground. And then the final selection is a poem called Soul. This is one of the most compact poems in very, very cryptic kind of poem, but you have to spend so much time looking at it to unpack it. Solve. The eastern grave tree split into logs for burning. Past the poison palatonates, past the cathedrals, floated upstream, downstream, by the tinnily flaring, the free punctuation marks of the sequestered writ that has dispersed into the countless unutterable, to be uttered names. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everyone. Thanks. Next person is Zuzanna. Hold on, Zuzanna. Let me get your last name right. Zuzanna Gudyka.
Yeah, almost. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Once again, thank you so much for being able to be a part of this event. I'm really happy. I've prepared 2 poems. One of them is in German. It's very short, yet I think really powerful. The title is Sing mir Weg, and it comes from a collection Lichtzwang from 1967. It was published 3 months after Celan's death. And the English translation of this collection is Light Duress. So here it goes. Sing mir Weg aus der Armbeuge. Nimm den einen Pulsschlag mit, verbirg dich darin draußen. Okay, and the next one is called Unten, in German, translated into English by Michael Hamburger, and the title is Below. I would like to read 2 versions. So at first in German. Unten. Heimgeführt ins Vergessen, das Gastgespräch unserer langsamen Augen. Heimgeführt, Silbe um Silbe, verteilt auf die tagblinden Würfel, nach denen die spielende Hand greift, groß im Erwachen. Und das zu viel meiner Rede, angelagert am kleinen Kristall in der Tracht deines Schweigens. And the English version below. Let home into oblivion, the sociable talk of our slow eyes. Let home, syllable after syllable, shared out among the day-blind dice, for which the playing hand reaches out, large, awakening. And the too much of my speaking heaped up round the little crystal, dressed in the style of your silence. Thank you. It's from, I just wanted to say that this poem is from a collection called Sprachgitter from 1959. Yeah, and like I said, it was also translated by Michael Hamburger. Okay, thank you very much. And I believe the next reader will be Pierre Joris.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. 50 years ago, that night when Celan walked out of his apartment on the Avenue Émile Zola, he walked over to the Pont Mirabeau, from where he went into the water. And I know that pont as an actual bridge, but it's also the title of a poem by Apollinaire. So to me, Celan always left in a double way. He had left a book open on his desk. It was a biography of Hölderlin by Wilhelm Michael, and he had left it open and underlined a sentence by Clemens Brentano. And that sentence read, "Sometimes this genius goes dark and drowns in the bitter well of his heart." This morning I posted 6 poems on my blog, the Nomadics blog, and I'll read some of those. But I want to start with 2 little prose fragments from the forthcoming, although I have a copy already, Microlith, the collected posthumous prose. 164. It belongs to the poem's essence that it will release the author, the confident, from its confidence. If it were different, no poet would write more than 1 poem. 162.5. The conjunction of the words in the poem, not only a conjunction, also a confrontation, also a toward each other and an away from each other, encounter, descent, and leave-taking, all in one. 163. Begin. Among the basic characteristics of poetry, I believe, is that it knows itself to be exposed to misunderstandings, with a note at the bottom. Because of this, it knows itself to be on the way to those who are still willing to let themselves be made thoughtful. The poem takes even its author completely into its understanding only for the duration of its coming into being, and then releases him too. Norman already read Tenebrae, but that's the one I picked this morning in New York because that's what the mood feels like. So this is my translations. These are the one from the Collected Early that is coming out from FSG in November, for the 23rd of November, the actual 100th birthday. I'm right now proofing it. That's one way of getting through New York right now. Tenebrae, we are near, Lord, near and graspable. Grasped already, Lord, clawed into each other as if each of our bodies was your body, Lord. Pray, Lord, pray to us. We are near. Wind bent, we went there. We went there to bend down over crater and mar. To the trough we went, Lord. It was blood. It was what you spilled, Lord. It shone. It cast your image into our eyes, Lord. Eyes and mouth gape, so open and empty, Lord. We have drunk, Lord, the blood and the image that was in the blood, Lord. Pray, Lord, we are near. Snowbed, eyes world blind in the death cliffs. I come, heart growth in the heart. I come. Moon mirror rock wall, downward. Breath flecked light glow, blood streaks, clouding soul, once more near shapely. 10-finger shadow, gripe clasped. Eyes world blind, eyes in the death cliffs, eyes, eyes. The snowbed under us both, the snowbed, crystal after crystal, meshed time deep. We fall, and we lie, and we fall, and fall. We were, we are, we and the night are one flesh in the passageway, the passageways. Do we hear the sound? Is that in my computer? Is that, I don't know where this is. Let me close with one poem in German too. I see what it is. Apologies. I close with one poem also from Sprachgitter, where all these poems were from. And I'll do this one in German first. It's a poem called Schüttkahn. Wasserstunde. Der Schüttkahn fährt uns zu Abend. Wir haben wie er keine Eile. Ein totes Warum steht am Heck. Geleuchtet. Die Lunge, die Quolle bläht sich zur Glocke. Ein brauner Seelenfortsatz erreicht. Ein hell geatmetes Nein. Rubbelsko, water hour. The Rubbelsko ferries us into evening. We, like it, are in no hurry. A dead Y stands at the stern. Lightened, the lung, the jellyfish swells into a bell, a brown soul extension. Reaches the bright-breathed no. Thank you all. Great to be there. Thanks, Rob. And the next reader is Sonia Lewington.
Hi. I'm going to read 4 poems. I'm going to be switching between the Pierre Joris translations and the Michael Hamburger. The first poem is from Affenzeit. On the white phylactery, the lord of this hour was a winter creature. For his sake happened what happened. Climbing mouth bit in once more when it looked for you, smoke trace you, up there in woman's shape. You on the journey to my fire thoughts in the black gravel, beyond the cleft words through which I saw you walk. High-legged and the heavy-lipped own head on the, by my deadly accurate hands, living body. Tell your finger accompanying you far inside the crevices, how I knew you, how far I pushed you into the deep, where my most bitter dream slept with you heart-fro, in the bed of my inextinguishable name. The next one is the titular poem of Poppy and Memory. Corona. Autumn eats its leaf out of my hand. We are friends. From the nuts we time and we teach it to walk. Then time returns to the shell. In the mirror it's Sunday. In dream there is room for sleeping. Our mouths speak the truth. My eye moves down to the sex of my loved one. We look at each other. We exchange dark words. We love each other like poppy and recollection. We sleep like wine in the conches, like the sea in the moon's blood ray. We stand by the window embracing, and people look up from the street. It is time they knew. It is time the stone made an effort to flower. Time unrest had a beating heart. It is time it were time. It is time. The next is from Light Joris. And this is the Pierre Joris translation. I can still see you, an echo palpable with feel words at the departure ridge. Your face shies quietly when, all at once, lamp-like it lights up inside me. At that place where one most painfully says, never. And the last one I'm going to read is from Niemann's Rosa. And this is the Michael Hamburger translation. With all my thoughts, I went out of the world, and there you were. You, my quiet, my open one, and you received us. Who says that everything died for us when our eyes broke? Everything awakened. Everything began. Great, a sun came drifting, a soul, and a soul confronted it clear. Masterfully, their silence mapped out an orbit for the sun. Easily, your lap opened. Tranquilly, a breath rose up to the ether, and that which made clouds, was it not a shape come from us? Was it not as good as a name? Okay, very much. I'm handing over now, I think, to Peter Philpott.
Right. Oh dear, cough slowly to begin. I'm going to be reading 5 translations from Lichtzwang by Amos Weiss, who's probably known to almost none of you as a translator. He's very well known to Ian, as Ian is the editor and wrote a very good, interesting introduction of Amos's posthumous selected poems. He committed suicide in 2008. He was the son of the great Judaic scholar, particularly of Hasidism, Joseph Weiss, who in fact came from Bukovina, was a German-speaking Jew, managed to escape to Palestine during the Second World War. Right. So I'll give the German title first, because I think the sense always that Celan's text is separate and untranslatable almost is crucial. Höreste, Zerleste. Hearing residues, seeing residues in Ward 1001. Day and night, the bare polka. They are reschooling you. You are becoming he again. In ritt die Nacht. The night rode him, he had come to himself. The orphan's apron was the flag. No more stravaging, it rode him straight. It is as if there were oranges in the privet, as if the man thus ridden had nothing on, but his first mould-see, bessprinkled skin. Muschelhaufen. Muscle heaps with the turd mace, I parted it, following the rivers into the melting homeland of ice, toward it the firestone to be scratched, in whose hand in the dwarf birch breath lemmings burrowed. There is no later, no nested urn, no breakthrough disc, no starfoot fibula. unstilled, unlinked, artless, the all-transforming climbed slowly, scraping behind me. The next poem was used as the epigraph for the poems of Amos Weiss. Tritt minen. Trip mines on your left, moons, Saturn. Shard sealed, the orbital paths out there. Now must be the moment for a righteous birth. Totnaberg. Arnica, eye bright, the drink from the well with the star dye on it. In the hut, written into this book, whose name did it receive before mine? Into this book, the line of a hope today for a thinker's coming word in the heart. Wood meadows, unevened, orchid and orchid individually. Crude stuff later while travelling. Clearly, who travels us, the human, who hears it too, the half-stepped fascine paths in the high moor. Dampness, much. Right, and have we Anthony Rudolph amongst us? Because it's not Anthony, then it is Rob.
Yes, I think Anthony had to leave to take a call. Hopefully he'll join us again, and we'll add him to the end if he's not on the call. Okay, so I'm going to jump from volume to volume and from translator, true translator. So the first one is from Die Neemannsrose, and this is in John Feldsteiner's translation. The sluice. Over all this grief of yours, no second heaven. To a mouth for which it was 1,000 word, lost. I lost a word that was left to me, sister. To polygoddedness, I lost a word that sought me, Kaddish. Through the sluice I had to go to salvage the word back into and out of and across the salt flood, Yizkor. And then two by Pierre Joris. The first is from Friedenstaube. The industrious mineral resources, homie, the heated syncope, the not to be deciphered jubilee, the completely glassed in spider altars in the all overtowering low building, the intermediate sounds, even yet, the shadow palavers, the anxieties, ice true, flight clear, the baroquely cloaked, language swallowing shower room, semantically floodlit, the uninscribed wall of a standing cell. Here, live yourself straight through without clock. And this one from Lichtschwang. Leap centuries, leap seconds, leap births, Novembering, leap deaths, stocked in honeycomb troughs, bits on chips. The menorah poem from Berlin. Unasylumed, unarchived, uncared for, alive? Reading stations in the late word. Dotted pilot lights line the sky. Crest lines under fire. Feelings frost spindled. Cold start with hemoglobin. Then this one from Schneepart. This is in Ian Fairley's version. Thank you, Ian. A reading branch, one that innerves your brow skin. A light source, swallowed half in your sleep, passes through the famished host tissue. Visual assist, banded, over moon-swept backscatter probes. Macro, micro. Earths, even now, Earths. Cornea-coated basalt, rocket-kissed. A cosmic seeing in the round, and yet inland horizons. Terror, terror. A reading branch, one that innerves your brow skin, as if you wrote poems. Strikes on the postcard greeting. Back then, before the blood clot point, on the lungs threshold, down the year, from Pilsen. Through the year, time wild with so much quietly express. Bon vin, bonne mer. A flapping lobe of brain, a strip of sea, hoists where you live, its capital, not to be seized. And then finally, this is from Zeitgehofft in Michael Hamburger's version. The poles are inside us, insurmountable when we're awake. We sleep across, up to the gate of mercy. I lose you to you. That is my snowy comfort. Say that Jerusalem is. Say it as though I were this, your whiteness, as though you were mine, as though without us we could be we. I open your leaves forever. You pray, you bed us free. Okay, now I'm happy to hand things over to David Ting, our next reader.
Thank you, Rob. I'm happy to be in such amazing company, especially seeing two very famous translators in the room. It's fantastic. So the poems that I have, I've added two in addition to the couple that you see here. Ein Dritte, an mir mit dem Seilbast, and Deine Hände are all from the period around Sprachgitte in the unpublished materials. So I've come up with some translations of those. In between those, I've also got some stuff plucked from Atemwende, Fallensonnen, and Stiepart. I've got Augenblicke. I have a hopefully interesting take on Fallensonnen. And I've also got my own version of a reading branch, Ein Leseast, which I've punned and turned into a bookworm. So I'll start with, I'm gonna try to read both the German and the English, especially since we might not all have the verses on hand. But let's start with the first one. Ein Dritte. Ein Dritte steht neben uns. Spricht unsere Sprache. Spricht sie besser als wir. Tödliche, rauschende, helle. A third person, a stranger, stands near us. He speaks our language. He speaks it better than we can. Deadlier, glittering, brighter. The next one is Augenblicke, or moments. Starting with the German. Augenblicke. Augenblicke, Wesenwinke, keiner helle schläft. Unentworten, alle Orten, sammle dich, stay. And I've tried to capture some of the rhymes and some of the wordplay, which is notoriously tough. Moments, omens, filled with signs, never shut your eyes. Redecaying from all places, gather yourself, rise. The next poem, Am Meer, by the Sea, is a bit of a callback to his younger style in Von Schwelle zu Schwelle and before, but this one is also from the period of Sprachgitte. Am Meer. Maske und Mantel. Du trägst sie wie ich. Wo sie geblieben sind, dort. Muschel, Stein, Dattel, Klaft. Wir haben geträumt und verloren. Was der Sahne mit uns tut, Auge und Schmerz. Beide Beginn und Begegnung. Muschel, Stein, Dattel, Klaft. Sie wussten es, während sie träumten. By the sea. Mask and overcoat. You wear them the same way I do, stranger. Where did you forget them? There, in the shells of mussels. Days upon days turned stone into pearl. We lost ourselves in silver dreams. What is in the sand, in the air around us? Eyes and pain. They open, they introduce themselves. In the shells of mussels, days upon days turn stone into pearl. The stones know this, only when they dream. The next one is mit dem Seidelbast. Mit dem Seidelbast wieder nach so vielen Jahren, so vielen Wegen. Keinerlei Himmel, keinerlei Heimat unter keinerlei Himmel. Die Seelen aus dem Vergessen gezählt in die Hand. You find Daphne, again, Apollo, still a laurel tree after so many years, so many paths taken. No homeland anymore, none, under a blackened heaven. The souls warming out of what we forgot. Inside your hands, you count them. Not coincidentally, the next poem begins with the imagery of hands. Deine Hände, your hands. Deine Hände, die unermüdlichen Jäger. Gott ist vergessen, sie greifen die Beute. Du lebst. Eine Stunde, diese, lässt dir den Namen leer. Your hands, these inexhaustible hunters, they forget God. They reach into the hive. You come alive. An hour, this one, blesses you with the wind, its whispered names. The next poem is Meridian, halbe, which is a really fantastic compliment to Pierre's translation of the Meridian speech. Also thinking about like the act of completing something or letting it remain as it is. As Rob mentioned, we must not split off no from yes. I always found that quote really interesting because Samuel Beckett in Text for Nothing speaks of the screaming silence of no's knife and yes's wound. But as a response, Celan saying, no, keep it in. But now this is another way to think about Meridian and Atemwende, what those terms might mean. And this poem, Meridian halbe, comes up in the materials that weren't published in Die Niemandsrose. Meridiane, halbe Kreise, du musst sie ergänzen unter den Anden, den Herzaugenfälligen, den Seelensonnen, darunter alles Ferne gleich nah bleibt, mit seinem Niemandsroten je und immer. Meridians, half circles. You must complete them. Draw one under another with the eye of the heart, under the sun of another soul, always at the same distance, too close, burning facelessly in the blood eternal. in the always. The next one up is Fadenzonen, and if I can manage, I've got an audio of Celan reading. So I'm gonna try to play this audio on my phone, and hopefully we'll be able to hear it. I'll turn it up. Don't be shy about turning it down if it comes out too loud. But here is Celan reading Fadenzonen.
Fadensonnen, Fadensonnen über der grauschwarzen Ödnis. Ein baumhoher Gedanke greift sich den Lichtton. Es sind noch Lieder zu singen, jenseits der Menschen.
And here's my version. Solfège. Solfège above charred wastes. At tree height, a prayer lights the way to no ear. There are yet songs to sing beyond humankind. And I think Ian and Pierre have run into this problem also of like, what the heck is like a Fadenzonen anyway? Like on one hand, for Fairley, you've got Fadenzonen, but then on the other hand, for Pierre, you've got threadzones. So my take with solfège, just like trying to crack apart, like what do these terms even mean? Solfège is like do, re, mi, fa, sol. It's to match up a syllable with a pitch of sound that otherwise doesn't have any kind of, like word or anything attached to it. And also to think about solfège like a strain or like, a scale or a strand of music as a kind of string. And then inside of the word solfège and the sound sol, you also have the word sun. So it's another way to capture it. It's almost like a bird singing across the wasteland. But also like Lichtton, whenever you think about Celan, explicitly mentioning in the straitening, the atomic resonances, we can bring that again actually to Fadenzonen, because Lichtton, if you translate that word into Japanese, the word pikadon is the onomatopoeia for the atomic bomb, pika, with the bright flash, and then don, the sound of the explosion reverberating. So Lichtton is indeed, if you think about it, another standpoint. That's like what it would be in German, Lichtton. It's something very similar and very astonishing. Anyway, the last one that I have for you now is my translation of Ein Leseast, which is set to be published in a UPenn translation magazine, hopefully by May 1st. But there again, I've like punned on the title, which is something like Leseast. What does it mean? Lese, like reading, a reader, ast, like a branch. And I thought, like a reading branch, that's hard for me to conceptualize. But what if you thought of the bookworm climbing on the reading branch, and then thinking of the bookworm as something also that grows into your brain, or like one of the nerves of your brain, or just that experience of like imbibing something. I thought it was a way to make it, at least for me, more concrete. But I'll read the German of Ein Leseast. Ein Leseast, eine, der Steenhaut versorgend, eine Lichtquelle, von der schläfrig geschluckt, passiert das hungrige Wirtsgewebe, Seehilfe, Schleifisch, über mondbefahrene Rückstreusonden, im Großen, im Kleinen. Erden, immer noch Erden. Hornhaut überzogene Basalt, Raketen geküsst, kosmisches Umlaufgeschau und doch Binnenlandhorizonte. Terrestrisch. Ein Leseast, eine, die Stirnhaut versorgen, als schreibst du Gedichte. Er trifft auf den Kartenguss auf, damals vom Blutklumpenort, auf der Lungenschwelle, Jahr hin, aus Pilsen, Jahr rüber, Zeit wird von so viel leidsige plesten, bon vent, bon mer, ein flackerender Hirnlappen, am Meerstück hisst, wo du lebst, seine Hauptstadt, die unbesetzbare. And now my version, a bookworm. A bookworm. 1. Feeds into your forehead. An illuminant which you drowsily gulped bypasses the ravenous host tissue. A visual implant, streaking over moon rovers, dash of backscattered light. In macro, in micro. Earths ever still, earths. Cornea over-domed basalt, irises kissed by rockets. Cosmic roundabout, and still only landlocked horizons. Terrestrial, terrestrial. A bookworm, 1, feeds into your forehead, but as you write poems, stricken by postcard from those days, former blood clump site, on the lungs threshold, a year shut from Pilsen, a year down, haywire with so much quietly smothered. Bon vent, bon mer, a flickering of brain probes, a slice of sea, hoisted where you are living, its capital, the unemptiable. Thank you. Next and finally, I think, I'd like to introduce David Weiss.
Well, actually, I'm here too, and I signed up. So I don't know how I didn't get on the list, but it's no big. Well, it is a big, because I'm saying that. I'm Sarah Sarai, and I want to read one poem, and I can do it after David Weiss. Is that okay?
Sure, and I think that
that will be good. I think Anthony Rudolph has joined us again, so he's due to read as well. So
yes.
So if you take it away, David, we'll
we'll
add Sarah and Anthony to the end.
I'm just going to read one poem.
Okay. Well, thank you. And I will be reading from the first section of Schneepart, from Breathturn into Timestead, as translated by Pierre Jury. 1. Unwashed, unpainted, in hereafter's pithead, there where we find ourselves, earthy, always. A belated bucket conveyor pierces us cloud-torn, upward, downward. Seditious piping inside, on fool's legs. The flight shadow into the iridescing sound heels us into 7 height. Ice age close, the felt swan's pair steers through the hovering stone icon. You lie in the great listening, ambushed, snowed in. Go to the spree, go to the hovel, go to the butcher hooks, to the red apple steaks from Sweden. Here comes the table with the presents. He turns around in Eden. The man became a sieve, the woman had to swim, the sow, for herself, for none, for everyone. The landwehr canal will not roar, nothing stalls. Lilac air with yellow window stains, Orion's belt above the Anhalter ruin. Flame hour, nothing, intercurrent yet. From standing bar to snow bar. Well digger in the wind, someone will play the viola. Day downward in the alehouse, someone will stand on his head in the word enough. Someone will hang cross-legged in the gateway next to the winch. This year does not roar across. It throws back December, November. It turns up its wounds. It opens up to you, young, grave, well, 12-mouth. The breached year, with the moldering crust delusion bread, drink from my mouth. Unreadability of this world. Everything doubles. The strong clocks agree with the fissure hour hoarsely. You, wedged into your deepest, climb out of yourself forever. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So, Sarah, if you want to, do you want to share the poem that you have?
Sure. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Jesse, for inviting me last minute. This is I'm on the web. I don't have my Michael Hamburger. I traded that in long ago. This is a translation by Michael Young. You too speak. You too speak. You speak last. Say your word. Speak, but never split off no off from yes. Give your word a meaning. Give it the shade. Give it enough shade. Give it as much shade as you know is parceled around you between midnight and noon and midnight. Look around. How everything comes alive in the presence of death. Alive. Whoever speaks shade about truth. Now, though, the shade where you stand is shrinking. Where now, shade stripped, upward. Grope your way up. You grow thinner, less perceptible, finer, finer, a thread. A star would like to slide down on. To be able to swim down there where it observes itself glimmering in the flow of drifting words. Thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. So, Anthony, I'm so glad you were able to rejoin us. We'll hand things over to you as the final speaker.
Sorry I was late, but better late than never. And I'm sorry I missed, but I'll be able to watch the recording. I know that. And it's good to see some friends and colleagues and email correspondence. And in preparation for the reading of the two poems, I went to to Yves Bonnefoy's collected, volume 1 of Yves Bonnefoy's collected letters, which only brings us to about 1965. It's going to be about 1 million pages. I checked out Paul Celan in the index and found Bonnefoy quoting in an article in 1972 this comment by Celan to him: "You French poets are at home in your language, in your references, among your books, the works you love. Me, I'm outside." And then this from a paragraph Bonnefoy wrote a few days after Celan died: "The most desolate poetry retains the nostalgia of an impossible celebration and the need for at least a few," and he uses the word proche, and I think proche connotes friends and also readers, close readers, readers' friends. So the most desolate poetry retains the nostalgia of an impossible celebration and the need for at least a few proche. And now 2 poems from Die Niemandsrose, which in John Felsen's translation, and I remember him as a good friend. As you may all know, he died of or with aphasia, of all things. And these are 2 translations. First, there was earth inside them, and they dug and dug, and so their day went past their night, and they did not praise God, who, so they heard, wanted all this, who, so they heard, witnessed all this. They dug and heard nothing more. They did not grow wise, invented no song, devised for themselves no sort of language. They dug. There came a stillness then, came also storm. All of the oceans came. I dig, you dig, and it digs too, the worm. And the singing there says, they dig. Oh one, oh none, oh no one, oh you. Where did it go then, making for nowhere? Oh, you dig, and I dig through to you, and the ring on our finger awakens. And finally, Psalm. No one needs us again out of earth and clay. No one incants our dust. No one. Blessed art thou, no one. In thy sight would we bloom, in thy spite. A nothing we were, are now, and ever shall be blooming, the nothing, the no one's rose. With our pistils soul bright, our stamen heaven waste, our corona red, from the purple word we sang, over, oh over, the thorn.
Thank you, Anthony. And I just want to say thank you to everyone, friends and readers, the audience members, and especially everyone who has read today. It has been extraordinary to share Celan's work with you.
Rob?
Yes.
I have something I'd just like to show the audience.
Go ahead.
This is a picture, this is actually a broadside that John Felstener gave me with a picture by Giselle, Celan's wife.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe that's...
Can I just say, I'm very moved to see that, Mike. I knew Giselle Celan, and the last time I met her was at the funeral of Edmond Jabez, a name many of you will know.
Yeah.
And she died a few months later.
Mm-hmm. If I could show the camera, I have Giselle on my wall here, a couple, and we will, Mike, if you're around in October and we can actually go up to Bard at the conference, we'll have an exhibition of Giselle's work.
Marvelous.
I've always
marvelous.
wanted to do in this country. She was a good friend.
Yes. Well, thank you for mentioning that, Pierre. I did. Hopefully, the current circumstances will have been lifted by then, and that will be taken.
Yeah. We will do what happens.
Right.
Yes.
For the gods.
This helps.
Can I ask Ian or Peter? I would like to find this book by Amos Weiss, and I was sort of Googling during the proceeding, and it seems unavailable. Is there a way to find this book?
Yeah, I will echo that request too. I was looking for it online and couldn't find a copy.
I'm sure we can.
I don't know if we've lost Ian from the call or Peter.
No.
They were both involved in that publication.
You have to unmute your mic, Peter, I think.
Can I also tell another anecdote, if that's the right word, involving Bonnefoy and Celan? I visited Bonnefoy in hospital a couple of weeks before he died, and we both knew it would be our last meeting. And there was a kind of agenda, and one of the things, the most important parts of the conversation was about Celan and the issue, the non-issue, or the issue of plagiarism. And we talked about Paul Celan. It was a pretty extraordinary experience being with this close friend, this great poet, and talking about things that mattered. And one of the things that mattered was his friendship with, and the sadness and the pain of the charges, the baseless charges leveled against Celan.
Mm-hmm.
Can I add an anecdote, sort of a happy one? I had lunch with Stephen Jaron, who I met through Tony, who is married to the granddaughter of Jabez. And at the end of the lunch, he opened his wallet and took out this little notepad, which was signed, was printed with Paul Celan's address and so on. And inside the notebook, it said, I would like to meet you for coffee, Edmond, you know. And so immediately Stephen and I went running, because they had on the back of the note paper, they had the name of the printer. So in Paris, and we were wandering the streets, and we were looking for this printer because we each wanted to get a notepad from Celan's printer. Unfortunately, we never found it, but we had a good time looking for it anyway. I still have that lovely piece of paper. Thank you.
Okay. About Amos's book, which is a slight side issue, maybe, but I think there's Celan's writing is within Amos Weiss's writing. The publication was quite difficult. It was through Waterloo Press, and there was violent conflict between Amos's mother, who had all of sort of Amos's writings, which he had not known about during his life, and was very determined on a certain way, and the printer. So it was small press publishing at its worst in some respect. God knows what happened to the book or what happened to its distribution. Only a certain number were produced, and Ian had a nightmare trying to do the editing and had to arrange the printing personally almost. So the number of copies is few. I have a couple. If you want to contact me.
Sure.
Yeah, my simplest email, because I can easily dictate it, is peter@greatworks, all as one word.
A great magazine.
Yeah, it was online, yeah. But this is the email address that's simplest, greatworks.org.uk.
Thank you.
And we'll see about it. Get in touch.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I have a couple of announcements. One thing, this is something that Sonia brought up when I first started sort of putting out feelers for this event. Organizing maybe a listening party at some point for musical settings of Celan poems.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be reaching out to everyone who took part once that's been. I'll talk with Sonia about setting that up and what the best way to do it technically is. But I'll reach out to everyone when we know more. And the second thing, this is I don't know if Caroline Bergvall is still in the event, but Caroline, who read so beautifully from the Meridian earlier, has a reading at the end of the month on April 30th, where she'll be reading from her marvelous new book, Alison.
Thanks for that, Rob.
So I think you have to. So it's worth seeking out. I think you have to register for that reading to be able to attend.
Yeah, I think so. It's a Zoom thing, I think. Yeah.
So I don't know. I apologize if anyone else has events coming up. That's the only one that I sort of know of. Here's an opportunity to plug anything that you might want to plug.
I wanted to add something. Those poems I read and a couple more I put on Nomadic's blog this morning. Finishing the big book, yikes, a lot of work. But I also, tomorrow, will put the commentaries that are basically Barbara Wiedemann's commentaries, abbreviated, of the poems that I put up today. So you can see actually how complex the book is. If you look at Celan's poems here, there are like 400 pages of poems and 800 pages of commentary that Barbara Wiedemann, who's marvelous, I just was with her in Houston, Texas, just the day before. I mean, I got back and we went into shelter. But she has done an amazing job and it's really useful. I mean, I didn't want to put them today so that the poems would be there one day just by themselves. But tomorrow I'll put some commentaries up because they are useful things. And in the fall, if we get that Bart thing, Rob, Eric Celan will come.
Oh, wow. That would be...
I'm bringing Eric over. So voila. Otherwise, things are going on. at home.
I'll say thank you all again for taking part this evening and making this happen.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Thanks, everybody. Good to see
Great
everybody.
evening.
Good seeing some friends I hadn't seen in a while. Caroline.
Thank you.
Yes, hi, Mike.
It might be good for us to swap emails. We can put it into the chat window.
Yeah.
If people afterwards are interested in contacting each other, then like I'll put mine in.
Well, that's a good idea, David. So
You could also write them on the Facebook invite.
yes, I think everyone is on the same. Those of you
Or on the same, yeah, or on the same, just even in the chat.
Right.
Well, I certainly feel like there are conversations that could continue, certainly. So, okay, well, I will now end the meeting. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Very much.
Yeah, everybody
Thank
take
you very
care.